this is a little bit about the background to the Isle of Man and where we are at the moment. We are certainly evidenced by the slide on the screen. It is somewhere that we believe we can be a major player within the renewable energies. It's something which we have spent 5 years in my former life as Minister for the Environment and now Economic Development. Energy is one of the key linchpins of our economy going forward, and therefore delighted to see so many of you here today. Our location, most of you hopefully will know by now or Googled us before you came here this morning. We're right bang in the middle of the Irish Sea. Uniquely, we own our seabed out to the 12-mile limit, and that is 87% of our total area. So there's no Crown estate to deal with. We, as a government, took ownership of that back in 1991. We are a Crown dependency, where the Queen is the head of state, but we have our own parliament and make our own laws. We have had 20 years of continuous growth, and we envisage significant opportunities in the renewable energy sector to build upon that significant growth. Our energy policy is at the moment fairly simple. We have watched the rest of the world evolving in response to rising fossil fuel prices, the issues over security of supply, in which we are probably in one of the best positions that most jurisdictions would envy. And we have worked with partners on the island and off the island to reduce our carbon emissions in order to do our bit for climate change. We're committed to the principles of the Kyoto Protocol, and we join the United Kingdom in the ratification of that. The first step in the move to low-carbon economy was involving the utilisation of our hydroelectric, our energy from waste, and now in brand-new gas-powered generation to produce electricity for consumption and indeed for export along the cable to the United Kingdom. The current power generating portfolio has a 0.43 kilogram carbon dioxide per kilowatt hour of electricity produced, which is significantly less than the average emissions in the UK. We have, over these years, decoupled our economic growth from the environmental impact that a growth often causes elsewhere. The energy policy talks about affordable energy, minimising the impact of energy use on the environment. And more recently, we have agreed a target of 15% electricity generated from renewables by the year 2015. We're not an island that believes in setting targets for the sake of targets, but we are genuine in this, as we'll talk through the rest of the morning. We are a member of the British-Irish Council. Membership of this means that we deal with the governments of England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Northern Ireland and the Channel Islands. At the summit in 2011, all the British energy ministers, including myself, signed an agreement proposed by Charles Hendry for an all-islands approach. That might not be clear to some of you at the back, but is a statement of intent from the joint governments in order to make sure the renewable energy projects meet the requirements of all the British islands. We also believe that there is an opportunity for export into Europe. Due to the location of the island, if you go back to that map, you can see that all the renewables being generated in other parts of the British Islands will have to try and get to where the energy is required. We believe we have a significant geographical advantage to assist in the interconnection of some of those projects. At the BIC in June 2011, we agreed a plan for officials to investigate an all-islands approach. And the work programme for those 18 months is shown on the slide. It includes the fit of joint projects and the use of renewable energy directive flexible mechanism between member states and non-EU countries, such as the Isle of Man. By not being a part of Europe, not being a part of the United Kingdom, we have to work with the UK government to ensure that we have access into their market. We're aware that they require the energy that we can produce onshore but also offshore as we move forward. And some of you here today are looking at the development of tidal and wave issues. And again, as we move forward, the Isle of Man, again, owning our seabed gives us an opportunity to maximise our opportunities. Ken Milne, who you saw a moment ago, is our representative, and we as a government fully support the principles. You might say we would do, because we have lots to gain and lots to give benefit to others Certainly from our point of view, there's a frustration at times that the challenges and difficulties faced in the United Kingdom are ones which we can't control. Therefore, we must work with various parties to ensure that our timetable and theirs come together. You'll hear later this morning about the electricity trading arrangement that we already have, and we'll continue our discussions with the government regarding what we see as a logical extension of renewable incentives to the Isle of Man. The Isles project is a collaborative project between the Scottish Government, the Northern Ireland Executive and the Government of Ireland. This project investigated the feasibility of an interconnected transmission grid. The study has confirmed that the feasibility of such a project is capable and has identified hurdles that will need to be overcome. As you're aware, around the Irish Sea, there are various stages of development of offshore wind. One of the challenges is to create an understanding of how that is going to enter into the national grid system. My colleague, Phil Gorn, the Minister of the Environment, who took over from me in October, recently attended a meeting up in Scotland. And the findings of the Isles project were discussed, and he was able to meet with his fellow energy ministers and offer the support of my government towards the further development of the project. Lessons learned will be applicable for the central area of the Irish Sea, and we are fully supportive of ensuring, and indeed would have ambition, to be that interconnector hub. We do have the location, we have natural reserves, we have a government which has just had a general election in September, so we have a 5-year term with a Chief Minister who is not standing for re-election, nor is the Treasury Minister. Now, those of you who might not follow politics directly but are aware of dealing with governments, there is nothing better politically than having the senior political members who are no longer having to try and satisfy local constituency issues. The Chief Minister formerly was Treasury Minister and Economic Development Minister. He gets it. He understands the opportunity. He understands that there are challenges with renewable, and investment is out there if we can harness it correctly. He has committed himself, as I do, that the economic growth of the Isle of Man is the linchpin on which all of our services depend. I have known for numerous years now that energy and the renewable sector is one of those which will be our future. And if the Isle of Man's economy can be involved around that topic, we will have a successful future. So you are looking at a very small island with a population of 85,000, with considerable amount of capacity to grow the population, and indeed to have the ambition to be the linchpin within the whole renewable sector within the British Islands. Unfortunately, we are not likely to be enjoying the manufacturing that some of your companies might be involved in, but the technology, the development, and the opportunity to work with a small but active government is one which I would urge you to at least consider. Come and judge us, talk to us. If you like what you hear, then you'll talk further. It's not a hard sell. We just believe we are in a position that we can accompany and assist some of you to achieve your ambitions, which will be to everybody's best interests.